Have you ever noticed that the more you chase after things, the more trapped you feel? It seems contradictory, but the truth is that wealth is not in accumulating, but in needing less. While most of society drowns in purchases, commitments, and distractions, there is a silent path that generates freedom, focus, and real wealth. Without effort, without sacrifice, only intelligent choices. Imagine living with less and, paradoxically, having more control, more time, and more power over your life. Today, you will discover how to transform simplicity into a true arsenal of freedom and abundance. Something that few understand and that can change everything. If topics like psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. Imagine someone who touches any object and turns it into gold. At first sight, it seems like a divine gift, but soon it reveals itself as a golden prison. This is the trap that so many people still fall into, believing that the more they accumulate, the safer they will be. What no one realizes is that excess does not liberate, it suffocates. It is like carrying a heavy suitcase on a short trip, without realizing that the essentials would fit in a light backpack. The curious thing is that this logic of accumulation is not only in mansions or overflowing safes. It invades even common homes, where drawers overflow with objects that are barely used. Who has never saved something for one day that never arrived? This habit fills us with invisible weight, a burden that steals energy without us noticing. It is as if each accumulated item were also a piece of responsibility glued to our backs. Think of a huge house, one of those that seems like a dream in magazines. Beautiful on the outside, but loaded with maintenance on the inside. Grass to cut, electricity bills that keep rising, rooms that require daily cleaning. The more you have, the more obligations come along. The luxury that seemed like freedom ends up becoming disguised work. In the end, the house ceases to be a home and becomes a company that never closes its doors. And it does not stop there. Even achievements that seem like victories can turn into prisons. A couple that finances the dream house discovers too soon the nightmare of debts. 2 salaries to sustain a roof they can barely enjoy. The feeling of prosperity turns into anxiety, and freedom slips away. It is not uncommon to realize that, in practice, what seemed like progress was just a new way of chaining life. This is where reflection comes in. Does more always mean better? A new car may impress, but along comes insurance, maintenance, and the constant fear of losing the investment. A closet full of clothes may bring status, but it also brings the eternal doubt of what to wear. When we look deeper, what we call wealth often hides the root of our restlessness. It is no exaggeration to say that excess outside of us creates excess inside of us. The accumulated things around us begin to turn into internal worries. Anxiety, stress, fear of loss, fear of not having control. The mind becomes like a cluttered room where there is no space to breathe. The weight is not only physical, it is also psychological. And this silent burden is what imprisons the most. The most intriguing thing is that this happens without us noticing. Little by little, accumulation disguises itself as achievement, and we start to believe that we are winning in life. But are we really? Or are we just trading freedom for burdens? This doubt was already raised by ancient philosophers who saw in excess a trap far crueler than poverty. Perhaps that is why so many sages, from different times, chose to live with little. Not out of lack of choice, but out of clarity. They understood early on that excess never quenches, it only increases thirst. And that is precisely where a paradox lies. The more we try to fill the void with things, the more it grows. What no one told us is that true wealth may lie elsewhere. Today, we live in a world where consuming has become synonymous with existing. We work endless hours, accumulate debts, and sacrifice health just to maintain a standard that, deep down, does not represent us. It is like running on a treadmill. No matter how much the body wears out, the scenery remains the same. This race has no finish line, only exhaustion. And yet, we believe we need to run faster and faster. The logic is cruel. I have more, therefore I am more. It is as if our identity were glued to the labels of clothes, the model of the car, or the size of the house. Only that, in the silence of the night, when all this loses its shine, we realize the fragility of this equation. The value of a life cannot be measured by a bank balance. And even so, almost everyone falls into this game like moths drawn to a light that burns. The curious thing is that this logic never delivers what it promises. With each achievement, an even greater emptiness arises. We buy a new phone, and soon another more modern one appears. We move to a bigger house, and suddenly it already seems small. It is like trying to quench thirst by drinking salt water. The more we consume, the more we feel lacking. Dissatisfaction is not the exception. It is the very fuel of this machine. And make no mistake, this mechanism is not natural. It was created. Advertising, social networks, and even comparisons among friends push the idea that we are always late. If we do not follow the trend, we are seen as less. But in practice, no one wins this race. Those who have little feel pressured, and those who have a lot feel threatened. Fear changes shape, but never disappears. This is where an invisible prison is born. People in debt believe they need to work harder and harder, and those who already have wealth fear losing it. The result is the same: anxiety, stress, and sleepless nights, and all of this in exchange for an illusion. Consumption sells us the promise of freedom, but delivers a package of obligations that only increases. The price is not on the tag, but in the soul. Some go to the extreme of measuring their own happiness by the gaze of others. The chosen outfit, the restaurant visited, the trip displayed in photos. Everything seems like a staged spectacle, but the stage never holds. Deep down, the audience applauds for a few seconds and soon forgets. And the person who sought validation is left with the emptiness of realizing that life was lived more to impress than to enjoy. This machine spares no one. Young people go into debt to show status. Adults sacrifice quality time to maintain appearances. The elderly cling to goods they will not take with them. It is a silent chain, passed from generation to generation. And the saddest thing is that most only realize the trap too late. When they look back, they realize that the price paid was their own freedom. But there is a contrary path, a discrete movement that does not seek to erase consumption, but to redefine it. A way of saying, I do not need that much to live well. This shift may seem small, but it opens space for a much lighter life. After all, what would happen if we discovered that wealth is not accumulation, but space? Perhaps this is the question that begins to change everything. There is something almost magical about simplifying your own life. When we eliminate excess, we are not just removing objects or commitments. We are creating space to breathe, think, and act with clarity. It is as if the mind opens, revealing opportunities that were previously hidden behind the noise of consumption. And the most interesting thing is that this freedom does not depend on money, status, or recognition. It simply happens when you decide to cut the superfluous. Simplicity has a curious effect on personal power. The less you cling to external things, the more control you feel over your choices. Imagine someone carrying a backpack full of heavy stones. Each stone is a worry, a desire, or a distraction. By removing some, you walk faster, with more energy, and realize you can go further than you ever imagined. In practice, simplifying means learning to say no. It is refusing what does not contribute to your life and keeping only what really matters. It may be difficult at first, because we live in a culture that values excess, but each conscious decision of detachment increases your autonomy. You begin to realize the power is not in having, but in choosing, in controlling your time and your priorities. Another point is that simplicity connects us with ourselves. When we stop distracting ourselves with rampant consumption, we gain time to reflect, create, and invest in meaningful experiences. What once seemed superfluous, like too many clothes or useless gadgets, gives space to moments that truly strengthen your inner self. It is a silent but profound power. And here comes a powerful trick. Minimalism is not about deprivation, but about awareness. By reducing, you discover the real value of things, feel gratitude, and realize that true wealth is the freedom to decide. Each object, each commitment consciously chosen, carries more meaning and strength than dozens of random possessions. A practical example? Try cleaning your schedule and eliminating activities that drain your energy. Or organize your space, from your closet to your desk, keeping only the essentials. The effect is immediate. Less distraction, more focus, and a sense of lightness that reflects in smarter and bolder decisions. Simplification also strengthens relationships. With less consumption and fewer distractions, you invest quality time in the right people, instead of spending energy trying to impress or compete. This creates respect, trust, and influence naturally, without effort or ostentation. Power grows silently, but steadily. In the end, the act of simplifying is a way of taking control of your own life. It is realizing that each conscious choice makes us richer, not in money, but in freedom, focus, and impact. And this perception prepares us for the next step, understanding how less need transforms into real abundance without us having to chase after more and more. When life is simplified, something curious happens. The feeling of freedom grows almost effortlessly. Without the weight of excess, you begin to realize that your choices are guided by what really matters. It is as if a fog dissipated, revealing paths that were previously hidden. And this clarity, even if subtle, transforms ordinary decisions into powerful movements. Focus, in this context, becomes almost automatic. By reducing external distractions, clothes, gadgets, useless commitments, the mind finds space to concentrate energy on what generates real results. It is the equivalent of adjusting a camera lens. Suddenly, everything that matters appears sharp, while the rest fades into the background. In daily life, minimalism manifests itself in small choices that add up to great impact. Deciding what to consume, how to spend time, who to relate to, everything begins to carry weight and meaning. Each conscious no is another step toward freedom. Each aligned decision strengthens personal power without you even realizing it. And the effect is contagious. The more you simplify, the more you realize that you need less to feel fulfillment. A simple dinner with people you love, a walk outdoors, or even a few minutes of silence already become sources of real wealth. The need to accumulate disappears almost naturally. Another fascinating aspect is how focus reflects on productivity. Without the noise of the superfluous, the mind flows with more creativity. Ideas arise with clarity, and actions become more assertive. Minimalism is not just about aesthetics or organization. It is a performance engine that enhances results in a silent but powerful way. Furthermore, the freedom that minimalism offers strengthens self-esteem. When you decide what enters your life, you begin to trust yourself more, to depend less on the approval of others. This silent confidence is perceived by others and creates a kind of influence that cannot be bought, cannot be flaunted, it can only be lived. A practical example? Try cleaning your morning routine. Keep only habits that energize and generate focus. By eliminating mechanical or irrelevant tasks, you gain time to think, create, or plan. This mental space transforms small minutes into moments of power, showing that less can, indeed, be more. In the end, minimalism acts as a lever. By reducing excess, you amplify freedom, focus, and impact. Each conscious choice is a step toward a richer life, not in things, but in meaning, energy, and purpose. And this realization prepares the ground for the next level: how to turn this clarity into real, tangible, and lasting wealth. When someone realizes they need less, something powerful happens. Life stops being a constant race after things that never fill. This realization changes the relationship with money, time, and energy, and suddenly, you begin to invest in what really matters. It is like discovering a secret map that leads straight to freedom. Real wealth, in this sense, is not in stuffed bank accounts or accumulated goods, but in the ability to live well with the essentials. The less you depend on objects or external approval, the more inner resources you gain: focus, peace of mind, and confidence to make bold decisions. In practice, this means that each simplification choice turns into real savings without effort. Eliminating superfluous expenses, canceling unnecessary subscriptions, or rethinking impulsive purchases frees up money and reduces stress. You begin to realize that living with less is not sacrifice, but strategy. This principle also applies to human relationships. People who seek less approval, less gossip, less drama, end up surrounded by more genuine connections. The time and energy that once scattered now concentrate on creating bonds that strengthen, inspire, and multiply value. Another notable effect is the increase in creativity. By having fewer distractions and more mental space, you find solutions to old problems and manage to innovate in different areas of life. It is as if the brain, freed from excess, started to work with maximum efficiency, producing valuable ideas without pressure. The freedom that comes from needing less also strengthens resilience. Without depending on external factors to feel safe or fulfilled, you face challenges with more serenity. Life becomes less about surviving circumstances and more about creating opportunities and meaningful experiences. A clear example: people who live with the essentials manage to save, invest in enriching experiences, and explore paths that life offers without overloading themselves. Each conscious decision to reduce needs turns into tangible wealth, not only financial, but emotional, mental, and spiritual. Deep down, minimalism reveals a fascinating paradox. By having less, you become richer. More time, more freedom, more focus, more impact. And this understanding prepares the next stage: how to turn this new perspective into daily habits that consolidate real and lasting wealth, without effort or deprivation. Creating minimalist habits is not about radical overnight changes, but about small, consistent adjustments. Each conscious choice, such as organizing a space, reviewing an expense, or cutting a distraction, accumulates and transforms your routine. Over time, these simple actions become automatic, and you do not even notice that you are living in a lighter and more powerful way. The secret lies in consistency, not in intensity. A daily decision to prioritize the essential, even if small, is more powerful than big sporadic actions. For example, eliminating 5 minutes of useless distractions every day creates more mental clarity than an attempt at an entire week of a life reset. Another transformative habit is regular reflection. Asking yourself, does this add value to my life? Helps filter what really matters. By doing this daily, you train the mind to recognize the superfluous, make better decisions, and keep focus on what generates freedom and real wealth. Minimalism also means simplifying commitments and routines. Reducing the number of meetings, tasks, or social activities that do not generate value frees up time and energy. This extra space allows you to invest in projects, ideas, and relationships that really matter, increasing your productivity and well-being. Another powerful habit is the periodic review of material consumption. Before buying something, asking, do I really need this, or is it just momentary desire? Creates awareness and prevents the accumulation of unnecessary things. This practice not only saves money, but reinforces autonomy over your choices. It is also essential to cultivate experiences instead of possessions. Prioritizing learning, short trips, deep conversations, or moments of introspection strengthens emotional and mental wealth. Each consciously lived experience is an investment that no money can buy, and that returns in clarity, focus, and satisfaction. Another complementary habit is constant physical and mental organization. A clean and tidy space, together with a less overloaded mind, creates a sense of control and well-being. It is like cleaning fogged windows. Life becomes clearer. You notice opportunities and feel freedom in each action. In the end, minimalist habits are more than techniques. They are daily choices that transform the relationship with the world. Each small, consistent decision builds a lighter, richer, and centered life. And this leads us to the next natural step: how to integrate this minimalist mindset into bigger decisions and transform the whole life without effort or sacrifice. Adopting a minimalist mindset goes far beyond organizing objects or cutting expenses. It is about how you approach each decision in life. With this perspective, even apparently small choices, such as where to invest time or energy, gain weight and meaning. It is like adjusting the internal GPS. You begin to follow a path that really matters, without getting lost in distractions. This mindset transforms the way of dealing with opportunities. Instead of accepting everything that appears, you learn to prioritize what really contributes to growth and freedom. Each conscious no, however small it may seem, is a step toward a richer life aligned with your values. Moreover, mental minimalism helps reduce anxiety and overload. When you decide to focus only on the essential, you avoid the feeling of always running after more, of never being enough. The resulting clarity allows more assertive choices, without haste, with full awareness of your priorities. In practice, this mindset influences investments, career, and relationships. Choosing projects that matter, people who inspire, and experiences that enrich creates a more balanced and satisfying life. The less you scatter yourself with superfluities, the more resources, internal and external, become available to build something lasting. A powerful aspect is conscious anticipation. A minimalist mindset means planning long-term decisions, considering impact and meaning, not just immediate gratification. This practice creates security and independence, allowing you to move forward with confidence without depending on external validation or social pressure. This perspective also reinforces autonomy and personal responsibility. You realize that your life is the result of choices, not circumstances. Each minimalist decision strengthens your ability to create opportunities, face challenges, and keep focus on goals that really matter, transforming freedom into tangible power. Practical example: before accepting a job offer or starting a project, ask yourself, does this really add value to my life? This simple reflection filters distractions and allows you to invest energy in things that multiply results, strengthen purpose, and expand influence without unnecessary stress. In the end, the minimalist mindset shapes a full life by aligning decisions, priorities, and actions with deep values. Each conscious choice is a brick in the construction of freedom, real wealth, and lasting purpose. And this prepares us for the last step: how to consolidate all these principles and create a minimalist lifestyle that remains sustainable and transformative. Consolidating minimalism goes beyond isolated habits. It is to incorporate the essence of simplicity into each decision and action. Each conscious choice, from what to buy to what to consume mentally, begins to reflect clear values and priorities. With this, life ceases to be chaos and becomes an intentional construction, rich in meaning. A crucial aspect is daily consistency. Small repeated acts, organizing spaces, reviewing commitments, eliminating excesses, accumulate, and shape a sustainable lifestyle. Over time, this practice creates a fluid routine where simplicity is not effort, but a natural part of existence. Consolidated minimalism transforms the relationship with time. Without distractions or excesses, each hour gains value and purpose. Activities that were previously mechanical or empty become conscious choices, allowing the investment of energy in learning, creativity, and experiences that truly enrich. Freedom becomes palpable. The more you internalize the principles of minimalism, the less dependent on external factors you become. Each decision, financial, emotional, or social, is based on what really matters, not on what the world imposes. This autonomy generates silent confidence and real impact. Another essential point is constant adaptation. Consolidating minimalism does not mean rigidity, but continuously adjusting what does not add value. By periodically reviewing choices and habits, you keep life light, functional, and aligned with goals, avoiding falling into the trap of excess again. Practical example: when planning big changes, such as a new job or a move to another city, applying the minimalist mindset helps prioritize opportunities that strengthen freedom, purpose, and focus. Each decision becomes strategic, avoiding waste of resources and energy on paths without meaning. Consolidated minimalism also generates emotional and relational wealth. By eliminating distractions and excesses, there is room to cultivate deep connections and memorable experiences. This wealth does not depend on money, but on the quality of what you choose to keep in your life. In the end, turning minimalism into a lifestyle is to create a virtuous cycle. Less distraction, more focus. Less consumption, more freedom. Less need, more real wealth. This is the basis for living with purpose, impact, and fullness. And with that, we conclude the construction of the topics of your script. So, what did you think of everything we talked about the power of needing less? Can you imagine applying these ideas in your life and feeling the difference that simplicity brings? I want to know in the comments. Which character or concept do you want me to analyze in the next video on the channel? And if you want to continue learning about freedom, focus, and real wealth, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you do not miss any transformative content. That is still coming. These two videos in front of you are not here by chance. And if everything you believe about yourself is just a reflection of someone's gaze, click now on one of the videos on the side and start shattering that mirror. You will have to risk the click. So, which one will you choose?